Okay, what if I told you that the secret to cracking one of the toughest thinkers of the 20th century was actually hidden in the movies of Alfred Hitchcock? I know, it sounds a little out there, but trust me, that's the exact mystery we're going to solve today. So where does this wild idea come from? Well, our source is a book with one of the best titles ever. Everything you always wanted to know about Lacan, but were afraid to ask Hitchcock. And you know what? That title isn't just a clever gimmick. It's the whole argument right there. It's telling us that the answers we're looking for aren't buried in some dense textbook. They're hiding in plain sight, right up there on the big screen. So let's start by digging into this pairing because, wow, it is an unlikely one. You've got the master of suspense on one side and the master of the subconscious on the other. And I mean, these guys could not be more different. Think about it. Alfred Hitchcock, his movies are thrilling, they're visual, they're for everybody. Then you've got Jacques Lacan, this French psychoanalyst whose work is so dense and abstract, it's famous for being hard to read. So the big question is, what in the world could possibly connect them? I mean, Hitchcock was a practical guy, right? He was a craftsman. He worked with cameras and actors and lights to create these very real feelings of suspense and fear. He was all about action and images, not getting lost in some lofty abstract theory. To really get why Hitchcock is the key here, we have to talk about the lock he's supposed to open. And that lock, well, that's Jacques Lacan himself. There's a reason people need a key. For literally decades, anyone who's tried to read Lacan basically says the same thing. It's like running into a brick wall. His ideas about how our minds work are absolutely brilliant, but man, they are wrapped in so many layers of theory that most people just get frustrated and give up. Which leads to the obvious question, right? If you can't get in the front door, how are you supposed to get to the good stuff inside? How do you access these incredible ideas when they feel like they're being guarded by this impossible language? Well, this is where the book's answer comes in, and it's just so brilliant and completely unexpected. The key isn't another philosophy book. The key is Hitchcock. Here's the core kind of mind-bending idea. What if Alfred Hitchcock, this filmmaker who was just trying to make entertaining thrillers, what if he accidentally became the greatest illustrator of Lacan's theories? What if he was showing us the theory in action without even knowing the theory existed? And this idea gives us what we can basically call the Hitchcocko-Lacanian method. It's a pretty simple concept, really. Stop banging your head against the wall of theory. Instead, start with the movie. See the idea play out visually, feel it, and then go back to the theory. It suddenly makes so much more sense. Okay, so that sounds cool, but how does it actually work? How do you start decoding the screen? Let's break down how a thriller you've seen a dozen times can suddenly turn into this incredible map of the human mind. It really comes down to 3 easy steps. First, you just notice a pattern in the film. Let's take Hitchcock's famous MacGuffin. You know, the secret plans, the stolen jewels. It's that thing everybody in the movie is chasing. Step 2, you link that thing to a psychological idea. Now, the whole point of the MacGuffin is that it doesn't matter what it is. It's just an empty object that gets the story moving. Well, in Lacan's world, that's a perfect model for desire itself. It's never about the object, it's always about the chase. And finally, step 3, you see the whole movie differently. The plot, the suspense, all of it becomes a kind of map for how our own minds are constantly chasing after something we think will finally make us happy. So all of a sudden, these films aren't just entertainment anymore. They become this amazing, practical user's manual for the human psyche. They're showing us exactly how things like desire, anxiety, and guilt actually work. Hitchcock basically wrote the manual. Lacan just gave us the technical terms for it. So what's the big takeaway here? Why does this even matter? Well, this isn't just some fun academic exercise. It genuinely gives all of us a brand new way to watch movies. Because really, the goal here isn't just to understand some complicated theorist. The real magic is that it makes a filmmaker we already love even better. The next time you watch Rear Window or Vertigo with this idea in mind, the whole experience just gets deeper. The suspense hits harder because you understand the psychology behind it. The stories just mean more. And that leaves us with this incredible new picture of Alfred Hitchcock. He wasn't just the master of suspense. He was an unbelievably intuitive master of the human mind, a kind of accidental psychoanalyst who showed us our own anxieties and desires right up on the screen. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you sit down to watch a movie, any movie at all, what are you going to see now? What hidden truths about the human mind might you find hiding right there in plain sight?